And welcome back to What If, the week of What If. And today's What If comes to us from Shang Tsung, who asked the question, what if Sentinels, Marvel Sentinels, were in Dragon Ball / Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, all that? Now, there's two ways we can and we'll look at this. Let me just increase my size here. You ever have that problem, guys? They just increase your size. But there's two ways we can look at this. What if you were to just transport the Marvel Sentinels into the Dragon Ball Z world? Because universal shenanigans can exist, dimensional shenanigans can happen. Or what if Sentinels were created in Dragon Ball Z? And more or less, we are looking at Sentinels as they are, not changing much about the Sentinels apart from maybe like their targets. So let's actually first get down what basically Sentinels bring to the table as, robotic weapons. Sentinels, obviously, for any of us who really watched, X-Men the animated series, all of that, Sentinels are a powerful robotic being that was designed to, hunt and kill mutants, particularly. Now, Sentinels have many different models to them. Just on the versions I am seeing here right now, I have the prototype Sentinels, Master Mold, Sentinel M1. I'm not going to list them all, but I have, 9 to 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 20. I've got, Nimrod. I've got nearly 40 different versions of Sentinels here. So that's a lot of Sentinels. But we will look at the general classic Sentinels. Sentinels, there's the Mark 1 Sentinels, but really the kind of Sentinels that people normally remember, like the ones kind of in this image, that's the design they have in that picture. But are usually the between Mark 2 and Mark 3 Sentinels. The purple, arms and legs, slightly human-colored face, and the blue body and stuff. So these particular Sentinels, and if we're going to look at all the Sentinels, we'll look at the most powerful or the highest model of these. This Sentinel is basically, in terms of what they're capable of doing, they have cables for attacking, basically tying people up. They're capable of flight with having jets built into their feet. Energy blasts of different kinds. Not limited to things like plasma, electrons, stunning gas, heat, that could be shot from their palms and their eyes. They have a mutant detection. Basically, they're capable of detecting the X gene, which is what they were designed to do. They have a learning program, which is very important. They store data for future uses for the same enemy so that the Sentinels from any other model could access the information. However, they needed modifications that would take at least 1 week. They also have searchlights for seeing, and they're a robot. They're protected by the sheer strength of their hull. They're very durable. They're also not affected by mental attacks or illusions. However, they were susceptible to attacks by affecting machinery. Now, that's the Mark IV. There are other versions that basically look similar to the Mark IV. For instance, like the Mark VIs and the VIIs looked very similar. It isn't until actually, I can probably even go a little bit farther with the Mark VII, because it's not until you get past the Mark VII that the real designs of the Sentinels really start to change. When people think of Sentinels, they mostly, mind you, think of either Master Mold, who's like we'll talk about Master Mold in a second, but they think about something that looks basically like this: the orange, the pinkish color, the purple, the pinkish colors, all that. The Mark VIIs, from a ability standpoint, were not much different than any of the other ones. They had just been, they were just, upgraded in terms of their machinery, really. Now, if we're talking about a scenario where the Sentinels were created in Dragon Ball, we also at least need to address Master Mold. Master Mold, and there are different continuities of Master Mold, we will look at, let's see here, where is our main version Master Mold? That's the ultimate version. Days of Future Past version, Days of Future Now, Phoenix Did Not Die, Day of there's also the animated version of Master Mold. oh God, like there's not really, is there not really a main continuity master mold here? I oh, there it is, 616 master mold. Because I'm like, that's the main one we want to talk about, 616. Okay, so master mold is basically it was a sentinel designed to build sentinels. It was the master mold. It was the mold of sentinels. However, it was damaged, and when the Sentinel headquarters was destroyed by the X-Men. Basically, the long story short, they reinstated the Master Mold protocols later on, but Master Mold kind of just went rogue and was basically a Skynet kind of scenario. Again, has all the same immunities that a robot would have, not needing to sleep or eat. But being a Sentinel, he has all the weapons of any Mark 1 through Mark 3 Sentinel, including mutant detection, flight, tracking missiles, sleep-induced beacons, mind control, ice blast, didn't know about that one, self-repair, that's big. Master Mold as a Sentinel, as the Master Mold series, has a higher capacity bent towards the production and proliferation of models that other models do not. He's capable of fabricating and churning out new Sentinels, Nano Sentinels, to create nanoviruses, which shall transform organic tissue into machinery. Okay, that's dangerous. Technokinesis and assimilation, so basically turning organics into technology and then controlling it, and size manipulation. So yeah, Master Mold is actually kind of is a little messed up, a very Skynet-y kind of scenario. So, is there a Skynet in a version of this where the Sentinels were created in Dragon Ball? No, I don't think so. And I'll get to that in a minute for the reason why. Because if we're talking about they're created in universe, then we have to explain where they come from. But let's first talk about a scenario real quick. And this is the quicker of the scenarios, where the Sentinels, at least the standard variety of Sentinels, show up. And I will at least, because again, I'm not going to go with named Sentinels like Nimrod or Master Mold, because those are specific characters. Those are beyond just Sentinels. No, those are actual characters. So let's see here. Give me what is the highest mark or highest or most powerful version of a Sentinel that could in theory show up? That wasn't like made specifically by someone, like the AIM Sentinel, or Doom Sentinels or Stark Sentinels we wouldn't use. Let's see, what is the highest, most powerful? There's a specific Sentinel from a different Earth. Sentinel Hounds. I think the highest ones we can really strongest ones we can kind of look at is Mark ISO Sentinels. That's probably the highest, strongest ones we can look at. 100 years in the battle realm's future. A group of Sentinels created by a mutant elite to control. I hate these ads sometimes. To control the champions of the contest rumble. Engineering way to present these days. Sentinels adapted to the ISO rich environment of the current content, evolved to the Mark ISO, which are powered by so they're just powered by something. That's all. They're powered by probably a more powerful energy core. Either way, even the strongest Sentinels are dangerous, to say without any issue. But we are just going to look at the standard Sentinels. So yeah, if the standard Sentinels showed up, now that I'm finally getting this, almost 10 minutes in Dragon Ball Z, it would actually be a pretty short fight. In fact, there technically wouldn't really be much of a fight. And what I mean by that is the Sentinels are designed to hunt mutants. Now, they will attack other individuals, but it's usually if the other individuals are attacking them, they're deemed as a threat. But because the X gene, for all intent and purposes, does not exist in Dragon Ball Z, they wouldn't really be doing anything. They would just show up and just sit there and do nothing. There are no mutants detected here. And you just seeing people who look different, like Piccolo or Tien, like mutation but X gene not found. They wouldn't attack them. But let's hypothetically say they would attack. The only era of Dragon Ball that the Sentinels would pose any sort of threat in is early Dragon Ball. And even then, Roshi could still blow up a moon. So, and most Sentinels are not planetary level durability. So, while the Sentinels would pose, it also depends on how many Sentinels there are. Because the Red Ribbon Army also existed at the time. And they could probably put up a good fight against the Sentinels. And worst case scenario, you just get the Dragon Balls in and just wish them away. So, yeah, the Sentinels showing up in Dragon Ball probably wouldn't be doing much. Or Dragon Ball Z would not be doing much. And if they show up in Dragon Ball, it would only be early Dragon Ball where they're the biggest threat. Now, if the Sentinels are created in Dragon Ball, that is different now. Now we're talking about a different thing. And the reason I said there isn't a Master Mold in this scenario is because of the reason they would come into existence. Let's be honest. They would be a product of Dr. Gero or Dr. Hito. Probably Gero, though. And I imagine that they would most likely be early models. Like, his idea was to create these giant robotic killing machines that with sheer size and power would be too much for the Z fighters. However, I imagine it would have been put on ice for a while. He probably wouldn't have been able to make a lot of them because he was working in a secret lab the whole time in the mountains. Granted, if he's going to be making them, let's say there's like 10 of them, and they're still like the standard size of a Sentinel, which is well into the higher, larger size ranges of beings. Like, they're good. Hold on, physical characteristics. Can I get a size range here? Come on, physical characteristics. There you go. Yeah, they're okay. They're only about 20 feet high, even in the Mark 4s. Okay, I mean, some of them are much bigger than other versions. To be very clear, I mean, that was the Mark 4. The Mark 7s, I think, were larger. Let's see here. Physical characteristic. What is the size of a Mark 7 Sentinel? No, it just says physical trait robot. Some of these Sentinels are much larger than others, but yeah, okay, so maybe I could see them being the prototypes leading to the androids, kind of, like a little bit like Ader was, but not quite so confident. And they're designed to go after anyone who has the ability to use ki. I think that is what he would hone in on. Anyone with the ability to use ki. Now, granted, that would include his own future androids. So he never implements them because he thinks, no, then it's not going to be enough. So when Gero's lab gets destroyed, there's a sub-basement or a secondary sub-basement next to it that awakens like the protocols for the Sentinels. So that's when I think where they would wake up is around the time that Cell and the androids are kind of running about, and they're doing. And Gero was smart, man. Gero made androids that could take on Super Saiyans without any difficulty, and Hito was able to make ones that took on reality busters. It's one thing I actually don't like about the Red Ribbon Army and what Akira Toriyama kind of did with them. Like, I get Earth's got more advanced technology, but the idea that you can you had the technology to actually build something that could compete with gods of destruction, like, really? That seems very far-fetched, even by Dragon Ball standards. But I digress. So the Sentinels go out and they're looking for any key signature they can. They could probably detect key signatures down to like minute power levels. But the difference is, like, we're talking about power levels of individuals. For instance, the average human power level is 5. That doesn't mean we have ki, but the ability to use ki is different than just having it. They're looking for individuals who can use ki. And that probably, even if the power level was 5, it probably reads differently than a normal human power level. So they're going, and they eventually do find the Z fighters at Kame's place. And they can't sense these guys because these are legit robots, straight up. And so, they're all waiting. They're waiting. The androids are on their way, but they ultimately they hear a sound and they see these Sentinels coming. And the Sentinels get ready to just fire straight onto Kame's house. It's Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin. They're able to avert the blast. But like, what the hell are these guys now? First the androids and Cell, now this. It's like, you have been designated a target. Prepare to be destroyed. And they, attack. Here's the one problem. Because in this scenario they would be prototypes or like precursors to the androids, they probably are not as strong as the androids. They're also larger and bulkier, and they may be programmed with fighting styles, but they're still just machines. They don't have the free thinking ability of a human, the ability to think on the spot or think creatively. And so, power-wise, these guys are going to be under the androids, which means Piccolo can ultimately handle these guys. But there's so many of them that even Piccolo's going to be overwhelmed, which is where Gohan and Krillin ultimately come into the fray as well, because I don't think Tien is there at the moment, but most of them were, and they're keeping the Sentinels at bay. Piccolo's able to kill a couple of them. Ultimately, the androids do find them, but they're confused, like, what the hell is this? Like, wait, you guys, these guys aren't with you? Wait, didn't the doc say something about those guys? That we were improved versions of them or something? Oh, yeah. Anyway, where's Goku? Damn it all! Damn it! And finally, Piccolo just goes off. And say, oh, whoa. And be careful to 17. He is just as strong as you. Like, you want to fight? No, let's do this elsewhere. And there's still some androids left, or Sentinels left, and they're like trying to say, forgive me, brothers, but you are in the way, and then just blast them. And then everything goes about the same. So the problem here is that in a scenario where the Sentinels exist, I don't see them playing a big factor on the plot. They might be like a issue for a little bit, but they're ultimately just going to be taken care of, because between the two people who would make them, Hito or Jiro, it'd most likely be Jiro. Hito was actually legitimately actually trying to do good. And he had a big superhero thing. So the Sentinels, I don't think would not be his cup of tea. They make more sense for Jiro, who wanted to get revenge on Goku, and probably some of the Z-Fires by extension. But they also make sense as something that he started with, but he's like, no, I need to slim this down, make it better, and all that. So, yeah, that's how I see a what if with Sentinels in there. If they're just transported in there, they're going to get killed pretty quick. If they're created in universe, they would be strong. They would certainly be strong and a threat to a lot of Z-Fires. But they would not be as strong as the present-day androids, and I still think they'd be taken care of without a great deal of difficulty. It wouldn't be 100% a cakewalk, but it wouldn't be a curb stop on their part either. But that is just my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see you folks for the next one. Tomorrow we got another Naruto What If, so stay tuned.